Mr. Chairman.
Members, prior to the luncheon adjournment, we were on the Employment Relations Amendment Bill number 2, and I'm advised that the House had got up to Schedule 1. Question is that the Schedule 1 stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye.
Chair.
The contrary opinion will say no.
Chair.
Excuse me. I've been corrected by the clerk. We just have the question to go on Schedule 1. There was no debate. So I'll put the question again. Those in favour of Schedule 1 standing part say aye. Aye. The contrary no.
No.
Ayes have it. Party vote is called for. Clerk, please conduct the party vote.
New Zealand National.
8 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
41 votes opposed.
Green Party.
9 opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
5 votes in favour.
Māori Party.
Tokorime whakahean.
Progressive.
1 vote opposed.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Honourable Chris Carter.
Members, the ayes are 64, the noes are 57. Schedule 1 will stand part. We now come to Schedule 2. The question is that Schedule 2 stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Point of order.
We had a member on her feet trying to take a call before the vote was put.
Well, I understand the debate on Part 2 included clauses 39 and 40 and Schedules 1 and 2. They're not separate debates. So we're now going through and having the vote on each part. That's what I was making.
The problem we have is that we went on to, I think we've got a bugger's muddle here, because what we did actually go on to a debate on Part 3. And how could we possibly be in the situation here? I think we might have to be in a recommittal phase fairly soon, Mr. Speaker, if we haven't worked our way through this one properly, because how could we possibly have started a debate on Part 3? We can't then go back. We've had, I accept we had closures. It might have been that you missed the vote, sir. But if the votes have been missed and we're going to go back and reopen issues, including Schedule 2, and there was, I accept that there has been some debate on Schedule 2, but if votes were not taken in error, then I think we are in a position where we have to recommit that question.
I thank the member. I'll just take some advice from the clerk.
That was my understanding. That's what people believe.
Can I just say to the member that the Part 3 debate, my advice is that the Part 3 debate the member refers to was ruled out of order. There is no Part 3 in the bill. My advice from the clerk is that we started on having votes on part 2, and the vote on the substance of part 2 is done, and we're now having the votes on the schedules attached to part 2. And once that's completed, we'll then go on to the next part of it, of the question before the House, will be clauses 1 to 3. Point
of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallett.
Well, I think the problem we had is, and I think there's been a clear error here, because there was a debate accepted on part 3 that's been well established here and in the House, wrongly accepted. We now, I think both sides accept. But what happened was that there were some votes which were not taken. Part 3 was called by the Chair, and you're quite right. You're absolutely right as to the sequence. But the question is whether a closure can apply over a period where another debate has been called. It is, I don't want to be too critical of the Chair at the time, and it is now quite a few hours ago. But, Mr. Speaker, it's my very firm view that a closure does not apply if there's been an interruption and we have moved to a subsequent debate. Well, and therefore, my colleague, while it is a relatively narrow debate, and I discovered it was narrow because I started debating it myself earlier on, quite incorrectly, as Mr. Woodhouse pointed out.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, we've got to find a way of sorting this out. But the closure just can't be applying 6 hours after it actually occurred. Because, sir, if the closure was to occur properly, then the Speaker would have put us back into committee, notwithstanding the fact that we've reached 1 o'clock, and we would have had the vote. Because if the closure was applying, then you just keep on having those votes and have your lunchtime at the end of those votes.
Order. I've heard enough. I've had several pieces of advice. The member, in referring to part 3, is irrelevant. Part 3 is ruled out of order. It's as if it never existed. It's gone. It's not a matter before this House. Second point, there was no, in my advice by the clerk, there was no closure motion. A closure motion does not apply. So the issue the member's raising about a closure is a complete red herring. It's irrelevant. Here to distract, confuse and cause distraction. No closure. We're not dealing with that. Let's come back to the fact. The fact is a vote was started. It was incomplete at the time the House rose for luncheon. No problem with that. So the votes that were taken before the House rose for a luncheon break are taken. Now the House has resumed. We're completing the votes. And we're completing the votes on the schedules. There is no debate on the schedules. They are included separately. They are included in the original motion. So the confusion the members have is entirely of their own making. I am now going to, without further ado, put the vote on Schedule 2, and once that's completed, I'll then call for clauses 1 to 3. Those who are in favour, those who support the motion that Schedule 2 stand part, say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. No. The ayes have it. Party vote is called for. Clerk, please conduct the party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
41 votes opposed.
Green Party.
8 votes opposed.
Act New Zealand.
5 votes in favour.
Māori Party.
Tokore me whakaheana.
Progressive.
1 vote opposed.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Honourable Chris Carter.
Point of order, Keith Long.
I incorrectly gave our votes as 8. It's apparently 9.
Votes will be recorded as 9. Order. The ayes are 64, the noes are 56. The Schedule 2 will stand part. We now come to